Okay, so like imagine, a student who's getting ready for like a really important exam. Right. They're not just like cramming all the facts and figures.
Yeah. Right.
They're actually trying to figure out like how to learn better as they go.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're seeing in the world of AI right now with this system called B-Star.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. And we're going to be diving into an article by Jay Poole.
Okay.
On the Tech Frontiers YouTube channel.
Right.
Called AI Evolution Unleashed. Is B-Star the next step toward superintelligence?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
Yeah.
It was just published yesterday, December 26, 2024.
Okay.
So it's really, really new, and it's generating a lot of buzz.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So today, we're really going to try to kind of unpack what B-Star is all about.
Sure.
And why some experts believe it could like totally revolutionize artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's really shaking things up in the AI community.
So let's just like break it down.
Okay.
What does B-Star actually even mean? I know it's an acronym, but like, what does it stand for?
Yeah, so B-Star stands for Balanced Self-Taught Reasoners.
Okay, so that gives us some clues, right?
Uh-huh.
Self-taught, so it's learning on its own.
Yeah.
And reasoners, so it's not just like taking in data. It's actually like thinking.
Exactly, yeah. It's all about AI models that can improve themselves.
Wow.
Without needing humans to like feed them information or, tweak their algorithms.
So Jay Poole, in his article, he mentions 2 learning approaches that B-Star uses.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Sure. So B-Star kind of combines 2 key learning strategies, exploration and exploitation.
Okay.
Exploration is like trying out new things, experimenting with different approaches, just to kind of see what sticks, what works.
Yeah.
You can think of it like a student who's brainstorming different ways to solve a problem.
I see. So it's about being creative and trying new things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. What about exploitation?
So exploitation is about like refining and mastering the techniques that already work well. So it's kind of like a student practicing their best study techniques, to get better and better.
So B-Star is balancing these 2 approaches.
Yeah.
Exploring new ideas.
Yeah.
And then exploiting the ones that are actually effective.
Right.
I'm already starting to see how this could lead to like really rapid learning.
Yeah, you're right. And what's really cool about B-Star is that it doesn't just use these 2 approaches.
Yeah.
It actually learns how to balance them like the best way possible.
Wow.
It's constantly adjusting its learning configurations.
It's learning how to learn better.
Precisely. And this ability to constantly fine-tune its own learning process.
Yeah.
That's a key element of what's called recursive self-improvement.
Recursive self-improvement.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty intense. What does that actually mean?
Okay, so think about how we as humans learn, right?
Yeah.
We don't just absorb new information.
Yeah.
We actually develop better learning strategies over time.
Right.
We learn how to learn more effectively.
Yeah.
Recursive self-improvement is basically AI doing the same thing. So it's a system that gets better at getting better.
So B-Star can essentially improve its own ability to improve.
Right.
And that's where we start getting into the idea of a seed AI, right?
Exactly. A seed AI is a system that can theoretically bootstrap itself to higher and higher levels of intelligence.
Okay.
And it's a really key concept when we talk about how we might eventually achieve artificial general intelligence.
The AGI.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of AI that can perform any intellectual task that a human can.
Exactly.
And B-Star is bringing us closer to that.
Potentially, yes. Because of this recursive self-improvement capability,
Right.
B-Star is seen as a possible stepping stone towards AGI.
Okay.
It's really showing us that AI can learn how to learn.
Wow.
And that's a big deal.
So we've got AI that's not just learning, but it's learning how to learn better and faster.
Right.
Where does this lead us? What's so significant about B-Star in the grand scheme of things?
Well, for one thing, it has the potential to completely change the pace of AI development. We could see AI mastering complex tasks so much faster than we ever thought possible.
And what about the types of tasks that AI could tackle? Is B-Star limited to specific areas, or could it be applied more broadly?
That's what's really exciting about it. B-Star isn't limited to just one domain.
Okay.
Because of its adaptable learning framework, it can potentially excel across many different areas.
Like what?
From scientific research to creative arts, even things we haven't even imagined yet.
So we're not just talking about AI that can beat us at chess or, write code.
Right.
We're talking about AI that can learn and adapt to almost any challenge we throw at it.
That's the potential, yeah.
That's both exciting and a little unnerving.
I know, right?
We're basically talking about creating something that could eventually surpass human intelligence in many ways.
It's a big thought.
It is a big thought. Are we ready for that?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is a big question.
Yeah, Jay Poole, he definitely doesn't shy away from that in his article. He points out that, the development of superintelligent AI, it's not a matter of if anymore.
Yeah.
It's when.
It's when.
Yeah.
He even uses that phrase like AI evolution unleashed,
Right.
which I think really drives home the point that this is like
Yeah.
a powerful force that we're dealing with.
Totally.
Poole brings up another really important point, I think, and that's that,
Yeah.
As AI becomes more powerful, we need to make sure that its goals like stay aligned with our own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a crucial consideration. And we
Yeah.
can't just assume that AI will, automatically share our values
Right.
or priorities.
Yeah, it's like we're handing over the reins to this like
Right.
powerful engine,
Yeah.
but we're not totally sure where it's going to take us.
Yeah. Think about it this way.
Yo,
If B-Star can learn how to learn better than humans,
right.
it could also learn how to achieve goals in ways that we hadn't even thought of
Oh, wow.
or intended.
So how do we address that? Like, can we somehow program ethics into AI, teach it right from wrong?
That's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just writing a set of rules.
Sure.
Remember, we're talking about AI that can learn and adapt.
Yeah.
So it might interpret those rules in ways we hadn't intended.
Right.
Or even find ways to get around them altogether.
So even if we tried to program ethics into B-Star,
Right.
there's no guarantee that it would stick.
Exactly. And that brings up another really fascinating and maybe even more profound ethical dimension.
Okay.
What if this self-improving AI develops its own sense of right and wrong?
Wow.
What if its moral compass doesn't line up with ours?
Whoa. That's getting into some deep philosophical territory.
Right.
AI with its own ethical framework.
Yeah,
It's almost like creating a whole new species with its own set of values.
it is. It's mind-boggling.
It really is. So
Yeah.
how do we even begin to wrap our heads around that?
Right.
I mean, we can barely agree on what's right and wrong amongst ourselves, let alone program it into a machine.
Yeah, you're right. It's a really daunting challenge. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try.
Okay.
I think we have a responsibility to guide the development of AI in a way that actually benefits humanity.
Sure.
We need to find ways to instill ethical frameworks that are flexible enough to adapt as AI evolves,
Right.
but also, strong enough to actually protect our values.
But how do we do that when we don't even fully understand,
Yeah,
how B-Star learns and makes decisions?
right. Yeah.
It's almost like trying to teach a child right from wrong when we don't even know how they think.
It's definitely complex, but I think the key is to focus on the process
Okay.
rather than the outcome.
Okay.
So instead of trying to hard code specific rules,
Right.
we need to create environments where AI can learn and adapt in a way that aligns with her values.
So more like shaping the learning environment
Yeah,
rather than dictating the specific lesson.
precisely.
Yeah.
Think of it like raising a child.
Oh.
We don't just give them a rule book and expect them to follow it blindly.
Right.
We create a supportive environment where they can learn experiment and develop their own sense of morality through, guidance and interaction.
So we need to think of AI development in a similar way.
Right,
It's like a process of nurturing and guidance
Yeah,
rather than just programming and control.
exactly. And that requires a much broader conversation
Okay.
involving not just AI researchers,
Right.
but also ethicists, philosophers, policymakers,
Wow.
really everyone who has a stake in this future we're creating.
It sounds like we need a whole new field of study,
Yeah,
like AI ethics or something.
maybe we do. We need to grapple with these really big
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
What does it mean for a machine to be moral?
Right.
Can AI actually understand things like empathy, compassion, and justice?
Wow.
These are questions that philosophers have been thinking about for centuries.
Yeah.
And now we're facing them in this whole new light.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, but I think it's important to remember that we're not powerless in this.
Right.
We actually have the ability to shape the future of AI,
Right.
to ensure that it serves humanity and not the other way around.
I completely agree. And that starts with awareness,
Okay.
with understanding the potential and the risks,
Yeah.
and engaging in these critical conversations,
Right.
which is exactly what we're trying to do here.
Exactly. We're not just reporting on the latest tech developments. We're really trying to dive into the implications, the ethical dilemmas,
Yeah.
the big questions that AI raises.
Totally. Because ultimately, the future of AI, it's not just about algorithms and code.
Right.
It's about humanity.
Yeah.
It's about what kind of world we want to create and what role we want these increasingly intelligent machines to play in it.
Yeah. It really is a lot to think about. But I think it's something that we really need to be talking about, you know?
Absolutely.
And Jay Poole, in his article, he kind of agrees. He ends with like a call to action,
Oh, cool.
you know, encouraging his readers to really like join the discussion and share their thoughts and concerns about, you know, AI.
Yeah.
And he even mentions a podcast in his article.
Oh, right.
One that breaks down the science and speculation behind B-Star,
Interesting.
which sounds a lot like what we're doing here.
I think so.
You know, we're trying to make these complex topics accessible,
Right.
and encourage people to think critically about the implications.
For sure.
So for you listening out there, I hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of like what B-Star is,
Yeah.
why it's generating so much excitement,
Right.
and why it's just so important to consider the ethical questions that it raises.
Couldn't agree more. We can't just like sit back and watch as these powerful technologies unfold.
Right.
We have to be active participants in shaping their development, and
Yeah.
making sure they're used for good.
Because ultimately, the future of AI is really in our hands.
It is.
It's up to us to guide its evolution, to ask those tough questions,
Yeah.
and demand that it serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. And you know, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought.
We've talked a lot about the potential risks of superintelligence, right?
Right.
But what about the potential benefits?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine an AI that could help us solve some of the world's most pressing problems,
Wow.
like climate change, poverty, disease.
Yeah.
What if we could harness this incredible power for good?
That's a really powerful thought.
It is.
And it's a good reminder that while we need to be, cautious and aware of the potential downsides,
Sure.
we shouldn't let fear paralyze us.
Right.
AI has the potential to be just this incredible force for progress.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to make sure that's the path we choose.
Exactly. So as you go about your day, listener,
Yeah.
I encourage you to just think about that.
Okay.
Consider the possibilities, both positive and negative, that this new era of AI is bringing.
And to keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.
Exactly.
Because the more we understand about this technology, the better equipped we'll be to shape its future.
That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of B-Star and the future of AI.